say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and in this case, is worth a lifetime of memories. Now, behind me is a microfilmed image of a notebook listing 27 members of a Vietnamese platoon, and it's just one of many personal keepsakes photographed by U.S. troops before the originals were lost or destroyed during the resistance war against the United States. Now, many were acquired, preserved, and digitized by the Vietnam Center and Sam Johnson Vietnam Archive at Texas Tech University. 22 sets of these wartime records have recently been returned to the families of martyrs at a recent handover held at the National Archives Center 3, marking the third consecutive year of Vietnam-U.S. cooperation in this meaningful effort.
The handwriting of martyr Trần Văn Phú has stirred memories and deep emotions within his family. To them, every document and every small detail connected to him is a precious clue.
It's been 68 years since my younger brother passed away, and only now have we received these documents. To our family, it's something deeply sacred. Our greatest hope is to one day find his remains and bring him home, back to his homeland and close to his family.
The keepsake of martyr Trần Văn Phú is one of many records returned during a recent exhibition at the National Archives Center 3, marking 30 years of Vietnam-U.S. diplomatic ties. From over 3 million pages of microfilm, faculty at Texas Tech University have worked tirelessly to classify, geolocate, and organize the records. Some items even included the exact coordinates of where they were originally recovered, bringing the families of martyrs one step closer to locating the final destination where these soldiers sacrificed.
It actually predates our trips to Vietnam to return diaries and materials. Actually goes back to 2005. We received a copy and the actual diaries of Dang Thuy Tram. We were able to return copies of the diaries of Dang Thuy Tram too. And so that started us on that journey. Right now we've returned over 50 documents to families and veterans.
Volunteers from the Heart of Vietnamese Soldiers organization and the Wartime Keepsakes Forum have played a crucial role in locating and verifying the families of fallen soldiers.
Based on the limited information found on old envelopes or handwritten diaries, our volunteers travel to countless villages and remote communities, sometimes deep in the countryside, to track down witnesses. In 2025 alone, we were able to identify around 22 individuals connected to the records.
It really does, I think, show that the United States' commitment to working with Vietnam on reuniting families with their loved ones, mementos. I hope it will bring peace to these families, much in the same way that Vietnam's efforts to share archival information, Vietnam's efforts to assist in the search for missing Americans, also has brought peace for families of American soldiers.
These documents are not just fragments of history, they are pieces of memory where the past is honored and wounds are healed.
Now, what started as a project to help American students gain a deeper understanding of the resistance war against the U.S. has evolved into one of the most extensive wartime archives in the U.S., the Vietnam Center and Sam Johnson Vietnam Archive. Now, let's join our reporter Thuy Linh, who takes us deeper into how this center has contributed to the search for martyrs' records.
Well, in my hand is a historical record that once belonged to the Vietnam Center and Sam Johnson Vietnam Archive. And these documents are now being returned to Vietnamese martyrs' families. To understand more about the process and the dedication behind this work, we're now joined by Ron Milam. Hello, Ron.
Hello. Thank you for having us today.
I want to ask you, why is it important to digitize and return these materials to the Vietnamese families?
Well, they really are the documents of soldiers that they were in our possession, but they really belong to that soldier. Today, we have the opportunity to return them to those families. Now, the reconciliation is so important that we were able to make sure that this relationship between American veterans and the veterans of the Vietnamese side of the war are solid as they can be.
And can you share more about the story and the process of returning these historical records to the families of Vietnam?
Well, there's 3 million pages of what we call the Combined Document Exploitation Center. And so all of those documents went to the National Archive after the war was over, and Texas Tech purchased them and translated them. And so we have a team of Vietnamese-speaking researchers, research assistant professors, who go into those documents and research them, find things that we think would be important to a family if we could find the family, which we have done through the good work of Colonel Hung and others here in Vietnam.
And how would you describe the meaning of this work, not just as a historian, but as someone who lived through the war?
When I was serving here as a soldier representing my country, I remember how important it was for me to be able to write a letter home to my wife, whereas many of the Vietnamese soldiers that we fought against were not able to do that. So it's an emotional feeling for me as a veteran of the American side of the war to be able to do this, because I know how important those letters were to my family when I would send them home.
Thank you, Professor Milam. Now, the return of these documents is just not about restoring the past. It's about building understanding and peace for the future. Now, back to you in the studio.
Yes, thank you, Thùy Linh. Now, upon receiving the wartime keepsakes of their loved ones for the first time and seeing the commitment it takes to return them, families of the fallen have had moments of overwhelming emotions and retrospection.
The only keepsake returned to me today is this certificate for the Military Merit Medal from the Liberation Army. Holding it in my hands today, I don't know, it brings up a lot of feelings. It's some things that prove the time my father spent fighting in the South. Even in his final days, he stayed devoted to the revolutionary cause.
As the children and grandchildren of a fallen soldier, we are truly grateful to the governments of both Vietnam and the United States for returning the keepsakes of those who fought to protect our homeland. The items that were preserved and returned today is priceless to our family. It's something that proves and honors the sacrifices and the victories our father achieved.
Today, being able to attend this memorial ceremony, I don't just feel moved for him. I feel for all his comrades too. For years, we've searched without knowing where he was. And now, to finally have something concrete like his ID card, that's the most precious, the clearest proof we could have ever hoped for.